In 2019, Elon Musk debuted the Cybertruck, and it set the automotive world on fire. Whether you loved it or you hated it, it didn't matter. Everybody was talking about it. So much so that they got over 1 million deposits of people putting $100 down to buy the Cybertruck. So as we fast forward to 2025, how many units did the actual Cybertruck sell? So did Tesla sell 1 million Cybertrucks? No. What about 800,000? At least they did that, right? Not even close. What about 500,000? At least half? No, not even that. Well, at least 100,000, right? Because that's less than 10%. Not even that. As of today, they've only sold a total of 46,000 units. Now, I don't care what industry you're in or what you sell or what you do for marketing. If you have 1 million pre-orders and you sell less than 46,000, that is considered an epic fail. Now, today we're going to talk about how the Cybertruck basically failed, all the red flags that were leading up to this, and why I'm telling people you probably should hold off on buying a Cybertruck even today. So let's talk about some of the red flags that were already showing since the beginning. When they rolled out the Cybertruck, they said that this was going to be an affordable everyday driver and work truck that regular people can afford at $39,990, which seemed like a good price right along the rest of maybe more affordable trucks. But when they finally unrolled it in 2023, the price skyrocketed to $60,990. But if you wanted the actual Cyber Beast, that went all the way up to $100,000. Now, right from the get-go, this upset a lot of consumers because people are looking to keep their budgets in a certain dollar amount. They didn't want to finance anything, and paying $20-something thousand more for a Cybertruck just simply wasn't in the cards. On top of that, towing capacity dropped from 14,000 pounds all the way down to 11,000 pounds. And most people will tell you, people buy trucks to do truck type of things. Just like the payload capacity. The payload capacity was 3,000, I believe 500, dropped all the way down to 2,200 pounds. So little by little, the truck became less of a truck, more of a, daily driver / soccer mom crypto bro vehicle. But one of the major red flags was the fact that they talked about how the range was going to be 500 miles. At the time, this was going to be groundbreaking. It was going to be great. A large SUV, you could travel for long distances, and especially people that are doing work that maybe construction or doing some type of delivery, they need that type of range. But guess what happened? When it came out, you were lucky if you got close to 300-mile range with all the things that were going on in the Cybertruck. Now, so many people were upset about this and filing their complaints and canceling their orders, Tesla decided to say, you know what, we're going to make an extended battery pack just for you people to make you guys happy. So guess what happened? People still continued to buy their $100,000 Cybertruck, and a few months afterwards, they received a letter in the mail stating that there is no longer an extended battery pack and refunded their money. So imagine buying a $100,000 tool and you can't use it unless you have maybe this other part, which is the battery. And let's say you're a construction worker, your livelihood depends on it because you work out of town at a construction site or using this for deliveries or whatever the case may be, they took that away. And because of this, I think this is one of the first waves of major cancellations that Tesla basically got hit with. So let's talk about the car being overhyped and the actual bubble. Now, this car came out in the beginning of 2023, right when the market was basically going the other way and the auto bubble finally popped. Consumers were completely fed up with paying over high prices and paying over MSRP for a brand new car and used car prices skyrocketing. But the bubble still had enough gas to push one more vehicle into the stratosphere, and that was the Cybertruck. I'll never forget it. One morning I woke up and I heard that in Dallas, Texas, a Cybertruck sold at a dealer auction for $225,000. People were trading Tesla stocks like they were Cybertrucks. And so everybody wanted to buy these things because they thought they were going to the moon. Now, at that time, I just got notification that my allocation came in. Also, on top of that, one of my friends was one of the first people in the United States to get a Cybertruck and was coming to Vegas for me to review it. And I was super excited. I got into the Cybertruck, I drove it around all day, got to play with it, crawled in and out of it. And after driving it for a few hours and playing with it, I basically made my decision right then and there that I was going to go ahead and either cancel my order or actually sell my allocation because I just simply wasn't impressed. The build quality was horrendous. The whole time I drove it around, the car was rattling. The fit and finishes looked like a 10-year-old Kia. The way it rode felt like almost like a 10-year-old SUV. So if you're paying $100,000, you should expect some sort of level of quality. And I just didn't feel it with the Cybertruck. Now, the truck is good and it does its job, but for $100,000, I thought it was priced out way above. And so that's when I decided to make a video called Why the Cybertruck Sucks. And it got a lot of reviews, a lot of criticisms, but I looked like a fortune teller in that video because I talked about how Everything that I talked about in this video, the build quality, the lack of features, and just not the car being overall what we thought it was going to be, is going to be a massive flop. And within a year, these cars are going to be selling from 200K all the way down to 75,000 bucks. Now that clip spread through Twitter. I got a bunch of hate mail, a bunch of Tesla fanboys making fun of me. But I tell you what, 9 months to the day, all the prices dropped down to 75,000 bucks at auction. They basically fell off a cliff, because what happens when all of a sudden one person sells their Cybertruck for 200K? Everybody and their grandma jumps on the bandwagon. All of a sudden, there's only 1,000 to 1,500 of these Cybertrucks at that time in the United States. But if 999 of them go on to Auto Trader, Facebook, and Car Gurus and put them all up for sale for 200K, guess what's going to happen? It's going to tank the price. There's too much availability. When you look at Bring a Trailer, these cars went from like 180 to 170 to 160 to 150 to 140, 120, all the way down to the $100,000 marker, all within 6 months. It was absolutely crazy. We still saw people buried in these cars that paid over $200,000 for them. And little by little, it started affecting the market. So let's talk a little bit about the competition. Now, when Tesla came out with the Cybertruck, they said that this was going to be the best-selling EV truck of all time. But it took so long for it to come out. Ford, GM, and Rivian had enough time to build a very similar, if not better, product. When Ford launched the Lightning, it was the #1 selling EV truck. Now, unfortunately, it did have a lot of issues, but they fixed a majority of those. The Hummer was a big hit. And on top of that, the Rivian was a great car, winning awards left and right. But the major slap to Tesla's face was the Silverado EV. It came with a range of 450 miles, which was a big deal because Tesla was told over and over again, all the Cybertruck owners, that you couldn't get that type of mile range in a vehicle that weighs under 7,000 pounds, but somehow they figured out how to do it. So now that the trucks have been out for a few years and had a chance to fix a lot of their issues, let's see how sales are doing today. Now, through the second quarter of 2025, Ford has sold nearly 5,900 units of the Ford Lightning. GM has sold over 4,500 of the actual Hummers, but Tesla has only sold 4,300 Cybertrucks. So even today, the Cybertruck is having a hard time moving. So why do you think that the Cybertruck is lacking in sales? Is it because of the recalls? Now, Cybertrucks had a lot of recalls through the years. I won't beat on them too much, but basically they had the rust issue, the panels falling off because the panel bond was being freed up, issues with electrical, too many faults, the frame was cracking. I remember the windshield was leaking, the rust issues, or was it because of the rising insurance costs? A lot of Tesla Cybertruck owners were complaining that their insurance almost doubled after a few years of owning the vehicle. Why was this? Well, if anybody's ever owned an EV or gotten into an accident on an EV, these things total out very easily because it is very hard to fix these things. Not the fact that, they're easy to work on with tools. It's that the way the batteries are set up and the way the frame is, usually with other cars, we can cut them in half, replace a quarter panel. It's not that big of a deal. But with these particular cars, if I dent the frame or do anything, since it's around a battery, I have to replace the whole thing. And then it becomes very, very expensive. So EV cars and trucks are getting totaled out at a much faster rate compared to other vehicles. On top of that, the rising prices of parts. One of my buddies got clipped in the rear end and bent one of his truck panels, and he had to wait almost 6 months to get it. But once he got it, I think the whole repair bill to repair one bedside was over $25,000, which was absolutely insane. And one of the other reasons why the insurance was spiking was because of vandalism. Vandalism jumped over 250% on Cybertrucks because of the actual election. People started associating Elon Musk with politics, and all of a sudden you had all these crazy people going out there smashing windows and writing stuff and putting dents in Cybertrucks because of his political views. Next, we're going to be talking about Elon Musk. Some of the things he did and said that had a direct effect on the actual Cybertruck sales and demand, and some of the things that he did indirectly to affect the overall market. Now, one of the first things that Elon did was obviously he bought X and got a little political and started talking about it quite a bit. Now, when you're a CEO of a big company, it's very hard for people to separate you, the person, from the actual company itself. And that was a big problem for Tesla. 60% of the people they interviewed actually said they would not buy a Tesla because of Elon Musk or whatever political views he has. And that had a major ramification on the actual Cybertruck. Elon Musk did something that deliberately hurt Tesla and Tesla owners is when they decided to start dropping the prices of their vehicles after sales slowed down. Now, I always bring up the Model S Plaid. If you bought one in 2023, let's say you paid $123,000 for this car. Fast forward to 2024, since sales were slow, they decided to drop the price to $95,000. So you get the exact same car with the same features, but for thousands thousands of dollars less than you did the year before. So how does this affect the market? Well, if you bought that car a year ago, now you're upside down $20,000, $30,000 and your resale value absolutely tanked. And if you've bought one right then, you're thinking, well, man, if you lower the price now, what if I wait till next year? So I think a lot of people actually canceled their Cybertruck orders and pushed off because one of the slowest selling Teslas was the actual Cybertruck. So people thought they were gonna get a better deal if they waited a little bit longer and possibly get it for a much cheaper price. Now they did do some things with leases and lowering the prices of other cars, but we're still waiting to see what they're gonna do exactly with the Cybertruck. One of the metrics that I use that's very important is resale value. This lets the manufacturer know if there's still a demand, if they should make more, if the bank should actually lend on them, and if a dealer should buy them and resell them on the secondary market. Now, unfortunately, the last few years, the Tesla Cybertruck has been a loser. Now, the Cybertruck is showing significant decrease in vehicle value, which should go the other way because remember, this is made in very limited quantities. There's not very many of these units around. So typically, if there's a lower amount of vehicles, the demand should be higher. But even with a low production amount, think about it this way. In your circle of friends, is there anybody excited like, wow, I want to buy a brand new Cybertruck or I want to buy a used one? I think a lot of my friends bought these things, drove around, had their fun, and got rid of them. A lot of people that are still driving these things either love them or they're unfortunately buried in them. There's so many people that paid $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over MSRP. I have a few ads running where I do cash for cars, and every single month I get at least one Cybertruck owner that owes almost double or triple of what the car is actually worth, and they can't get out of them, which kind of sucks. Now, is the Cybertruck a bad car? No. If you love it and you enjoy it, that's great. Use it for what it's designed for. But I think they charged way too much money. Now that the prices have come down, I think this is the true value of the Cybertruck, somewhere around $40,000 to $60,000. Now, my advice, if you do want a Cybertruck, I would buy used. Is there anything to save the Cybertruck market? My advice for Elon Musk, if he's watching, is I would do something with the aftermarket manufacturers to make the Cybertruck fun again. Because even though this is a very popular car and a lot of people know about it, there's really not that much aftermarket accessories. Even like the Ford Maverick came around the same time. It's not even a real truck. Sorry if you drive one. But if you Google it, there are literally tons of lift kits, body kits, turbo kits, just all kinds of cool stuff you can do to a Maverick. But for a Cybertruck, there's really not that much. And some of the parts are crazy expensive. So I think they need to open up, maybe bring it to SEMA and let these manufacturers start building cool things for this car to kind of reinvigorate that resale market. Because if you can get people excited about buying these things, it'll go a long way. But anyways, I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I'd love to know your opinion on the Cybertruck down below. Do you guys love it? Do you hate it? Did you pay $200,000 for yours? Please let us know. It'd be great. Also follow me on Instagram, Lopez, and we'll see you next video.